Hello and welcome to another Wilderness Tamed video. And in this one we're going to be looking at myths and how else to put it? How disturbingly out of touch some people are with the natural world. So it's October here in the UK and I'm out for a walk in the woods at the top of my street, and if we pan around behind me you can see it's predominantly beechwood, which are not native to the northeast of England, but we'll also go up into the top end of the plantation, which is conifer. But if I just spin the camera around for you and show you what's on the ground here, you can see that typically for autumn the ground is covered in leaves. So this is a section of conifer plantation. So conifers are generally regarded as evergreen. So these are a mixture of pines, but there are deciduous conifers such as the larix, the larches, which turn a splendid yellow colour before dropping their needles. So this business of being out of touch with nature, obviously in my profession I have contact with tree surgeons and arboriculturalists, and I heard a story from one, and this happens quite regularly, and I've sort of contacted other tree surgeons that I know, and he's not the only one that gets this regular question, be a phone call from an adult human being who has had bought themselves a house or is renting a house. So yeah, adulting responsibilities. Yet they will ring tree surgeons and say, wait for it, got a tree, I think it's dying, it's losing all its leaves. It did the same thing last year, then it seemed to perk up again in the spring. Like, for real? I think I was 3 years old when I understood the concept of autumn and that deciduous trees would lose their leaves at this time of year. Excuse me, I've gone a bit off-piste, going through a ditch. But yeah, how disturbingly worrying is it to think that there are adult humans in the world today who do not understand the basic concept of trees losing their leaves in autumn. I mean, so they have admitted that it happened in previous years and the trees seem to perk up a bit in the spring, i.e. its leaves grew back and it remained green through the summer. So yeah, there's people who are just totally and utterly clueless. How could they have got to adulthood and not kind of linked their childhood kicking of piles of leaves through the streets or through the park in October, November to reaching adulthood and not thinking, oh yeah, every autumn the leaves drop off the trees. It's mind-bogglingly frightening is what it is. Another classic, and this is a question I had, I've just spotted a fallen log that I'm going to sit on rather than wandering about. If I can get to it through all these brambles. I mean, I used to get a lot of interesting questions from customers at the garden centres I used to work in, and one in particular will live with me to my grave. There's a chap came in again, an adult, interested in buying some apple trees, and he asked how close they needed to be planted together because he was convinced that the roots needed to be touching underground so that the trees could breed and produce apples. Cue Captain Picard facepalm gif. Like, genuinely. What I said to him was, actually, sir, the flowers are where the fruits are produced and they're pollinated by insects, so the distance doesn't really matter that much. What I wanted to say was, get out, because you are too stupid to shop here, quite frankly. I mean, it just beggars belief. But then, so I'll finish on a slightly lighter note. I don't want to ramble on forever, but trust me, I could. There's a myth that, and you often hear it quoted, oh, there's a lot of berries on the trees, it's going to be a hard winter. Okay, plants and trees do not predict the future. They react to stimuli that have happened in the past or are happening to them now, but their reactions are slow, to say the least. Like the wit of some of the people I've talked about earlier. So if there's a lot of fruit, berries, apples, pears, cherries, plums, be it whatever, on a tree or a shrub, it generally means that there was a lot of insects around pollinating the flowers in the spring and early summer. So if you've had a nice warm spring and there's been lots of blossom on the tree and lots of pollinating insects buzzing around, visiting the flowers, carrying pollen from one flower to the next, then that is what is going to produce a lot of fruit. Not the tree predicting that the winter is going to turn cold. Absolute, utter nonsense. Okay, so let's spread the word and put that one to bed straight away, because and pretty much that is it. Okay, so there's another stimulus that can cause fruit trees and things to produce a lot of fruit or to flower, and it's stress, i.e. they think they're going to die, so their immediate response is, and when I say immediate, I mean, within a few days or weeks, their response is to, let's reproduce. We're about to die, let's set some seed and continue the generations. So it could be from a lightning strike or vandalism, people, lopping branches off the trees. Pruning is a sort of enforced type of stress that will stimulate fruit production in fruit trees. So that's one. But mainly, if there's a lot of fruit on your trees, it's the result of a good spring, lots of sunshine, lots of warmth, lots of insects pollinating the flowers when they come about. Okay. I should finish off actually talking about deciduous and evergreens. I really should have scripted this more carefully. So evergreens, like what I am sat under now, these are conifers. There are also evergreen trees, as you may or may not know, depending on how out of touch you are. So evergreens will have leaf cover all year round, whereas deciduous trees will lose their leaves seasonally. And in the UK and Europe, temperate climates, it's usually during the winter months. Okay. As temperatures drop and daylight decreases, I've run into a dead end here, I'm going to double back, then certain chemicals are released into the leaves that cause the colour change, and that's why autumn's such a colourful time of year. And my memory serves me right, it's acetic acid. Could be. Is that right? I should have researched this, but life's too short. Just get over this trunk again. Now I've got the brambles to negotiate. So the leaves will drop, generally over a short period of time, a few weeks, and they're all down and done. Job's a good one. And a lot of people are put off buying hedging plants, deciduous trees, because they think, oh well, it's not going to have any cover during the winter, not going to give any privacy or shelter from the wind. But what they're forgetting is they'll probably never venture out into their gardens during the winter in order to suffer the lack of privacy or the wind. Evergreens, as I've mentioned, will retain their leaves throughout the year. But, and here's a big but, they will also drop their leaves continually throughout the year. So you will be sweeping up the leaves from beneath an evergreen tree all year round, as opposed to sweeping up the leaves from beneath a deciduous tree in the autumn only. And the reason for that is, and I've mentioned this in another video, I think it was either hedge maintenance or hedges to veggies or something. The reason being, all leaves have a limited lifespan, and in an evergreen tree they might live a year or two, but eventually individual leaves will die. And oh no, look at all the fruits on this ulmus here. Must be going to be a hard winter. Okay, so even on an evergreen, the leaves will fall, because the leaves won't live, each individual leaf won't live for the 100 and odd years that the tree itself will live, or the shrub or whatever. Some nice autumn colour on that beech tree. See, the problem with beech trees is, as opposed to oak trees, a beech only supports about 90 different varieties of invertebrate, whereas an oak, a mature oak, will support something in the region of 300 to 350 different species of invertebrates. And beech are quite a dominant tree. They will outgrow and outshade slower growing trees like oak, which will eventually die off till you get a monocrop of beech trees, and then virtually nothing grows beneath them. A bit of a wildlife desert, almost like a grouse moor. Just thought I'd get that in. So yeah, consider your hedging options. Do you want to go evergreen and be constantly sweeping up leaves? Or do you want to go deciduous have a greater variety of plants within the hedge and only have to sweep up the leaves at the back end of the year. I can hear a dog squeak going on. I'm going to turn around and head the other way. Where was I? Got distracted there. So yeah, in summary, leaves falling from trees in the autumn is not a sign that it's ill and dying if it's a deciduous tree. That's a perfectly natural cycle that it's going through, okay? Fruit trees do not need to be so close that their roots can touch in order to breed. And fruits and berries on trees is not a weather forecast. It's a reaction to something that's happened previously. I think that about sums up what I've been rambling on about. I hope you've enjoyed following me around the woods. And we'll see you in the next one. Until then, happy gardening, subscribe, ding the donger, blah blah blah, YouTube blurb, all the rest of you know what to do. You're adults. Apart from those of you who think that your trees are dying in the winter. Get off this channel. You're not intelligent enough to be here. Harsh. No, but anyway, the whole reason for me being here is to help you out. So I hope you feel helped out. Till the next one.